What's going on, everybody? Drew Creal here. In this video, we're going to do something a little bit different. There's a lot of different things on my channel, gear reviews, little opinion pieces, things of that nature. But in this video, I have a special guest. His name is Taylor Pace from the Nashville Deathcore band Dissonation. And we're here in my studio today, just hanging out, talking. So everybody, welcome Taylor Pace to the Drew Creal Show. I guess we'll call it that for now, but that could change. What's up,
going
man?
on?
It's good to have you here, man.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
So a few weeks ago, the band that I play in called Proselyte, we played a show with Taylor's band Dissonation. We played at Dark Matter, and I just started talking to Taylor or something before the show started, and we just became fast friends. We ended up going to see Dying Fetus a couple weeks later after that, which was an insane show. We'll get into that later. That was super fun. But I just thought it'd be cool to invite him over and just hang out, and we're going to talk about a number of things. We're going to talk about his band. We'll talk about the Nashville metal scene, just kind of both of our experiences, and just anything that comes to mind. So really my first question for you, Taylor, is have you tried the Firecracker wrap from Jimmy John's yet?
I have not.
Okay. I have
What's
actually
that
tried it. And it's this red freaking wrap, dude, and it's very spicy.
Oh, okay.
And
I like the spice, so
I don't
maybe I should try it.
I don't know if I want to recommend it to anyone, but
is it like ghost pepper or like what's going on with it?
it's basically like this red like habanero wrap of some sort, and then on the inside it has like hot chips. So you get, that's where the Firecracker comes in, and you bite into this thing and it's crunchy and it's spicy. It's pretty good.
That sounds up my alley. Habaneros are pretty spicy, but if it's not in the ghost pepper territory or Carolina Reaper or any of the like crazy like YouTube challenge like area of spice, I can probably hang with it. Cool,
man. So. Yeah, I don't know. It was just something random that came to mind.
Yeah.
I wanted to start off with the more serious questions in this interview. So the other thing I wanted to ask you is, what's your go-to Chipotle order?
I like to just load it up with everything. I get a bowl usually.
Okay.
Because the burrito just falls apart with the amount of stuff that I want to put in it.
Okay. Okay, so bring us through the stuff.
Oh,
like,
man.
What's in your bowl?
I'm forgetting. Honestly, Chipotle's quality has been kind of slipping, in my opinion.
Okay.
In my opinion, I at least the ones I'm going to in the Nashville area, I think have just been like the people just look at you with disdain when you put in your order. Like every scoop that they have to do is just like killing them inside, like bit by bit.
They're in pain, bro.
Yeah, they're in pain or something. It didn't always used to be like that. I don't blame them. I don't want to work at Chipotle. I mean,
yeah,
it seems like, I don't know. Nobody wants to be like scooping chicken for somebody.
Yeah,
I mean, so I get it.
I think a lot of people are just suffering, man, and it sucks.
Yeah, no,
like
look,
I'm always happy for the people that are making my food, but yeah,
I'd love to quit my day job. Believe me.
Yeah, you want a certain quality when you go to Chipotle, right? Because it's like, okay, it's fast food. That's like, I guess you convince yourself that it's still pretty healthy.
It's not the worst.
Yeah, there's
it's
much
not
worse.
McDonald's, so
for sure.
There's that.
So I'm the reason why I kicked off this with talking about Jimmy John's and Chipotle is like those are my go-tos here in Clarksville, man. Like I love those.
Is the Chipotle up here pretty good?
They're pretty decent, man.
Okay.
I have one like literally 3 minutes from my house.
Maybe I'll make the 45-minute drive.
Yeah, you should drive out like here next time. You need a burrito
yeah.
for sure, dude. But yeah, they do a pretty good job around here.
Nice.
So yeah, but I've had similar experiences in the Nashville area with Chipotle.
Well, in East Nashville, there's no need to go to the chains, really, most of the time.
Yeah.
Because there's so many really incredible places, like one-off food trucks. Like there's this spot called Maíz de la Vida, and they do burrito-style tacos, and they're incredible. They have like a James Beard Award. Like I just can't justify going to Taco Bell or Chipotle or something like that when I can get like this craft, masterpiece like just down the block.
Yeah, for sure, dude. No, there's a lot of great like Mexican and family owned type of restaurants available.
Burgers
for you. Yeah, burgers.
Bad Luck Burger
galore.
Club.
Oh,
you ever had that?
Yeah, dude, that's actually Andy Atkins of PLEA. That's his burger place.
Yeah.
I haven't had it yet.
I go there so often that he knows me by name now.
Oh my gosh, dude.
He's such a funny dude.
He's amazing.
Yeah. He's the best.
I got to tour with him over 10 years ago.
Really?
Like way back in the day. Yeah, the last PLEA tour, it was Quit Your Band and Get a Job tour. That's what it was called.
Did you see them when they did their reunion show?
I didn't, man.
I missed it too. I'm kind of bummed.
Yeah, me too. I bought tickets to one of the nights, but I had like a family thing that
I had tickets too.
To be honest, I forgot about it, and I was like, oh, I can't go to the show. I tried to go the Friday night before, which was like sold out.
Yeah.
And I reached out to some people, and they're like, nah, man, there's just no way we can get you in because it was full. But
StubHub.
Yeah, anybody in the comments, let us know if you were there at that show. How was it? Let us know.
Yeah.
So, well, cool, man. Let's just kind of start like at the beginning with you. Like, where are you from originally, and how long have you been in Nashville?
So I'm from Raleigh, North Carolina. I lived there for the first like 18 years of my life, before going to college at Elon University, and then I came to Nashville straight after that. I started as a guitar player. I actually got inspired by Guitar Hero, the game.
Nice.
Yeah. And I feel like a lot of people around my age, I'm like 28, so there's a lot of people that, Guitar Hero came out when I was in middle school, which is prime time, like years for figuring out what you're into.
Yeah.
And I was just completely taken by that, like that little taste of being a rock star and like playing an instrument, like was enough. And, like I was told like, dude, you're so good at Guitar Hero. Like if you spent like a quarter of the time on like on real guitar,
right,
you could be pretty good. And I was like,
sick.
Fair enough. And the trend with Guitar Hero kind of died. But, I got into classic rock. I got into, Led Zeppelin and all like the OG, like 60s, 70s stuff. And then when I found Metallica, it was kind of game over. I was just a metalhead pretty much from then on out. And I just kind of went through the ages, like from the 80s to the 90s to the early 2000s and then to more modern metal, which is more what I listen to for the most part now. I mean, I like pretty much all the subgenres of metal, but yeah, that's how I got started basically.
Sick. So you mentioned Metallica being one of your influences. What was some other stuff that you were listening to back in the day that was like, okay, we're going into the heavy realm?
Okay, so when it started to get really heavy, I'd say like 8th grade to freshman year, I discovered like Lamb of God, Slipknot. I discovered the Black Dahlia Murder. Actually, that was one of the first like heavy bands, because like Lamb of God is really heavy. I don't want to say that they're not heavy, but
for sure
they have a certain mainstream appeal. Black Dahlia was the first like, okay, this is like an underground type of band.
Yeah, they're death metal.
They're straight up death metal.
They're a real death metal band. I mean, I think they kind of modernized it and kind of took some of that like Swedish kind of death metal influence. Mm-hmm. And the tempos were insane. And the
it's
album
like melodic death metal.
Yeah,
with like more modern production on it, and just fantastic songwriting. R.I.P. Trevor.
Oh yeah,
he's like one of my favorite lyricists like of all time.
I'm glad I got to see him play.
But yeah, I went from like kind of death metal to being introduced to like metalcore and deathcore and like gent. I became a huge gent kid, still am.
Hell yeah.
I joined I had like a thrash band just in my bedroom, like with one other guitar player. Like some dude I met at high school. And we were just doing a whole bunch of nothing. So I like my physical trainer's son. I was like physical training for like lacrosse at the time. And his son had like a metalcore band, and they were kind of like one of those like Rise Records types of bands where they sing about breakups and stuff. And I was not into that at all.
Was that the Deep V stuff?
Yeah. Deep
dude.
V and
Love that.
Iron, like Hot Topic vibes across the board. But they were doing stuff. and they had likes on Facebook and stuff, and they're playing shows, and they needed a guitar player, and I was just like, all right, sure, we'll do this. So then
you bought a Deep V.
No, I didn't.
I'm just kidding.
I did do this stupid, like, what's the stupid headbang where you, like...
Yeah, like the bob.
The bob.
Is that what that's called?
I guess.
Did you crabcore too?
I did a little bit of crabcore, yeah, I will admit.
Those are some good moves. Yeah, it's something about some dudes just doing the waves in unison that makes it heavier. Makes the music hit hard.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know?
But slowly that project got heavier over time. And that project ended up fizzling out. And then I started playing in a bunch of math rock bands, actually. In college, I had a math rock band called Zen Marino.
Cool.
And I played bass in that because the noodly, like, style of guitar is just so different from metal, so like but we wrote some
like
cool
alternate
stuff.
Tuning kind of stuff, or
like
pedals.
Every song's in a different tuning. It's like really stupid. It was really hard to play shows because you're tuning like between each song.
Yeah,
you know,
dude, math rock was huge up in the Chicago area, especially when I was in college. I went to NIU, which Northern Illinois University in DeKalb, and that was kind of the thing back then. The Fall of Troy was a really popular band during that time. This was probably like 2006 to 2010, kind of in that range. You know, Mars Volta, like they were kind of mathy, right?
Well, it just kind of feels like softer metal because like a lot of metal does the same kind of, like has the same kind of energy to it where it's so instrumentally focused, and then the vocals are kind of there as a secondary piece. I feel like metal is a lot like that, where you're honed in on what the guitars are doing, you're honed in on what the drums are doing. That was easy for me to kind of get into. Like when I was in college, whenever I tried to jam with like blues guys, like I just wanted to riff. I was like, check out this riff, it's in 7. And they're like, I don't know your riff. Like,
bro, you got bro.
Can you just play like a regular chord progression or something? You know?
Yeah.
So I was bad at jamming.
You got to feel the musics.
Yeah.
Sorry. Well, something I was thinking about, because your vocals today are insane. You do so many different techniques, lows, highs.
Thank you.
Different sounds. It's wild. Was there a point in your life that you can think of that you were like, all right, I'm ready to do brutal metal vocals. I'm ready to take this to the next level?
It's kind of recently. This is my first time being a vocalist of a band, like my first real attempt at it anyways. It was kind of just a party trick for me for a while. Like I've been doing it for maybe about 10 years, like in terms of like, if I can think back to when I first tried to start doing it, it was mostly just in the car, kind of for fun, trying to sound like my favorite vocalists or whatever. But I wasn't taking it super seriously because my identity was wrapped up in guitar. When I started trying to put together Dissonation with my drummer James, there was kind of some inner turmoil that I had, like do I want to be the guitarist of this band? Do I want to be a vocalist? Like I wasn't confident enough in my voice yet, but I felt like I was starting to get to the point where like I had enough variety and enough ability to like take a stab at it. Honestly, one of the weirdest things to adjust to was something I did not expect, which is what do I do with my hands live? Like I'm holding a guitar the whole time. I got real good with like the stage moves for that. Like it's pretty simple. You either move your head or you don't move your head. You know, like there's not much else to do. Maybe you could do a spin or something.
Yeah.
But your hands are occupied. The gesturing of live vocalists is like, it's an art form in and of itself that I have never given enough credit, because you can very easily look real stupid, you know?
Oh yeah. I still haven't figured it out. Yeah, that's for sure.
But yeah, so I just started, like just after practicing, I got better at it. And in my day job, I drive around in a company car all day. So I have a lot of time to practice, like all day.
Is the company recording you while you drive?
They might be. It's AT&T, so they record everything.
Oh, dude, someone's jamming to your stuff, man.
Yeah, maybe.
Like, whoa, dude, have you heard Taylor?
Yeah.
He's in the truck, man.
But I really couldn't justify being the guitar player in this band when we just like stumbled across like guitarists like Nick and Adam.
Oh,
like they
Nick
just
is-
shred
both of those dudes.
so hard. I was just like, I had a moment where I was like, all right, we're just gonna be the vocalist. That's fine. And we still all collaborate on writing guitar together, and the three of us have like very different styles creatively, and we kind of converge together, and it kind of works itself out. So
That's sick, man. Yeah, your music is amazing in the sense that you combine all these different elements. There's orchestration, there's guitar solos, there's like heavy chugging riff parts. There's a little bit of everything, man. There's a saxophone solos. There's a lot of variety in your music, and so it's to me it's like really fun to listen to.
thank you.
You're right. The two guitar players that are in your band are some of the best that I've
shredders.
seen, like in the scene,
Yeah.
in the Nashville.
Some of the best
metal
I've
scene.
ever like had the honor of playing with, honestly.
Yeah.
Like it's like Nick particularly brought some energy into the band that like Adam is a lot more like me, where he's very rooted in metal guitar. Like he can play a lot faster than me. Nick is almost not even a metal guitarist at times. Like he's so into like jazz and all kinds of stuff. Like we found him, he was playing with a rock band, and they're sick. But he was playing like a Kiesel that looked a lot like that one right there. Like custom Kiesel. It was like a 7-string or 8-string fan frets. I was like, this guy plays prog metal for sure. Like,
This
and
is
we
a prog
approached him. I
guy.
was like, do you play prog? And he's like, yeah, I do. I was like, cool. I'm going to send you a demo. I'm going to see what you think. And he ended up joining the band. And
Oh, that's cool.
like once James and I like stopped waiting for permission from other people to do what we wanted to do, and like waiting for other people to come along and like get the thing going for us, we're just going to do this regardless of whatever else happened. Like we don't care. We can do everything we need to do. We're just going to make these demos sound as awesome as we can. And as soon as we took that attitude, like people wanted to be a part of it.
That's amazing. I think that's the only way to be, man.
Yeah.
Because trends come and go, and there's always a shift in what's popular. But if you can like carve out your own space
Yeah.
and just be honest with the type of music and the type of sounds that you want to make, then you should do that. Now, if you want to be a part of the music industry, obviously
different.
there's different rules that apply to that. But that's why I love the metal world,
Yeah.
is you can do anything.
I think the self-starter mentality does carry across the whole thing generally.
Yeah.
Because people want to hop on a moving train. They don't want to like help you build it
Yeah.
most of the time. You got to do that work yourself. I wish I could go back in time 5 years ago when I moved to Nashville and just tell myself that, because I spent a lot of time not really getting much done. Like just kind of like, oh, I just need somebody to write with, or oh, I just need a bass player. Oh, I need a drum. Like I didn't need any of those things. I have Logic and get good drums and like the most amazing technology, and it's all at my fingertips and it's all ready to go. And I could probably put it all together if I really wanted to. And if it sucks, I can trash it. It doesn't matter.
That's kind of been my approach too, like the last few years. I was a teacher for 4 years, and I was just like, man, I got to write some metal. I got to write some heavy stuff.
Were you teaching guitar?
Yeah, I was teaching
Nice.
guitar at the web school. I taught middle school music classes, so it was like ukulele,
Oh gosh.
bass, drums, and then after like the first couple years of teaching middle school music, the kids all wanted to play guitar. Like they got into
Yeah.
it, man, and they were fighting over guitars. Like, oh, this one's better than that one.
Yeah, I
wanna
was
play
never in
that.
band because they never had a guitar position. And I was like, that's lame.
Yeah, man. I grew up playing in jazz band on guitar, but it was kind of like, you're a backseat to the horns,
Right.
know, which is fine.
We didn't
Like,
have that. We had bass sometimes.
Well, at this school, it's a much smaller school, so I got to be in charge of a lot more of the curriculum, and so
Oh, nice.
it was kind of like a School of Rock kind of thing. And I previously had worked at School of Rock for a few years, so I kind of took some of the things I learned there and kind of implemented that at the web school. And now I think they have a choir program, so they just took it in another direction. But hey, there's only one me out there, right?
Yeah.
So No, it was just it was a fun job, and it was really cool for what it was. And I think some of my students watch this channel. So what's up, guys? Anybody out there that's watching?
Yeah, I've been thinking about getting into vocal coaching.
Oh, you should, man. I need to take some vocal lessons, because when I do my metal vocals, I always blow them out and burn them, and it takes a few days to recover.
The starting part I think is the hardest part, because it's like hard to know, okay, what is it that creates this like monstrous sound? It's like it's not intuitive. Yeah. So if you like can create distortion, you're already like 80% there. The efficiency thing, that just comes, I think, with practice, and that's something I like. But it can be really discouraging, because it's like it's hard to know whether you're doing something wrong or right, and I still like question myself all the time.
Yeah. Do you experience a lot of pain after doing like a show? Like you played a show last night.
Yeah, so I experience no pain after screaming my set, unless I did like, I would have had to scream for maybe like an hour and a half to like really start to be like, oh gosh, like it's the talking to people after the show.
Yeah.
After I play. That is by far like projecting your voice. Like you can damage your voice from doing everything. Like the common misconception about screaming is that it's inherently like damaging to your voice.
Okay.
There's no way that that's true, given that there's all these bands that are on tour for like over a month at times, where they're not getting good sleep. Their diet is terrible. All the conditions are as horrible as they could possibly be. They're probably likely to get sick because they're in this enclosed space in a van with a bunch of dudes, and they're talking to people very loudly and very closely at these venues that are probably not very clean. I mean, like it's really bad for vocals. Like the whole experience of touring. I even question how some of them do it, but yet I still go see Lorna Shore, and like Will Ramos is like crushing it every night. That never sounds bad. You know,
he's got it dialed in.
So there has to be a secret to it, and I think it's just efficiency. I think it's like it's not. You don't want to sound like it sounds like it's strenuous on purpose, but that's performative. In reality, whatever scream you're doing, you should be able to do just in stasis, like completely relaxed. Mm-hmm. If you can't do it completely relaxed, that probably means it's like potentially damaging.
Yeah, it's kind of the same thing with guitar playing. Like if you're trying to play really fast guitar, if you have a lot of tension, in your fingers and your hands, you're gonna hurt yourself.
100%.
So finding that relaxation point, relaxation's not really the right word. Just minimal tension, with
efficiency
with your technique. Same thing with drumming. If you see a really bad drummer, you'll know it because they're not really playing in time and they're using their arms like to drum.
A lot of the fastest like tech death drummers are just, they look so chill up there.
Oh, dude, when we saw Dying Fetus, the drummer, I'm sorry, his name escapes me.
He could have been asleep.
He looked like it was just like, I'm another day at the office. I'm just clocking in. All right, here we go.
Yeah.
Dying Fetus. Just like insane. Like
the whole band is like that.
Yeah.
I mean, watching their bass player do sweeps on the bass.
Yeah.
While screaming.
Sweeping and tapping and
they're barely even looking at the fretboard.
Yeah. They're masters of the art. I mean, dude, think about it, man. That band started in like 93 or something like that.
Yeah, they're old.
But they've like mastered the craft. It's like seeing like a really great quarterback in their last like few years. Then it's just easy for them.
I hope they get to keep going, man, because it inspires me a lot to see guys that are like a couple generations older than me, like still doing metal and like still kicking just as much ass as like they always have, if not more ass than they ever have. Dude, honestly,
to me, some of my favorite shows are performed by bands that are with members that are in their 50s.
Yeah, I mean, my favorite band to watch live is like Meshuggah.
Yeah, you took the words right out of my mouth. Meshuggah, Cannibal Corpse, Dying Fetus. I saw Gorguts when they were on tour with.
I saw Cattle Decap recently.
Those are some older cats for sure. They're killing it.
Great.
Well, I love that about metal because it's not about
It's not about
optics.
youth and yeah, it's not about optics. It's not about, we don't need it to be like some 19-year-old, like, you know, you don't need to be good looking. You can be ugly as all get out.
Yeah.
And be the most revered metal musician ever.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh, dude, that guy from 200 Stab Wounds that's wearing like a leather vest and he's like balding.
the guy that's like bald.
Yeah,
And
dude.
he was rocking the bald like proudly.
Yeah, I was just like, that dude rules.
You,
like,
you know,
that's the only
somebody's
thought
proud
I
of
had.
being bald when they've grown out the sides.
Yeah,
and they just don't care.
Basically, like, it's not to like knock on the guy at all.
No.
Like, but he's like Homer Simpson with a guitar playing extreme death metal. You know,
Yeah,
like that's kind of what
he was kicking
what
ass
it
up
was.
there.
Yeah, it was killer. I love. That's what I love about
Yeah.
this genre, this style of music that we find ourselves in, and it's not fickle in that way.
Mm-hmm.
And
It's genuine.
as long as you're doing the thing for real, and you're performing well, like it's never gonna be. No judgment can be cast. You know.
Well, you
I love
know
that.
that everybody that is doing it and taking it at like the full way actually cares about it.
Yeah.
Because it's not for the clout, it's not for the money, and it's definitely not to get more women or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
Because most metal shows are best case scenario 9-to-1 ratio, usually more like 99-to-1.
Yeah. Yeah, dude.
Depending on the show, I guess.
I mean, I've heard the guys from Cannibal Corpse talk about this in interviews, like, you know, how, like, you know, I don't really headbang anymore when we play because it hurts my neck too much. I mean, Corpse Grinder's still up there doing all that, but
I don't know how. I mean, maybe it's because his neck is wider than his head, but
he's got an overdeveloped neck.
Yeah.
Let's just say, the guy can handle it. But the other members of the band have been like, yeah, I just play my instrument as well as I can and do the gig, and then you know, I don't go
It's almost
as
more
wild as I
intimidating.
did when I was younger. Yeah,
it's almost more like when I see Meshuggah play. I looked at
but they're
like,
moving around.
They're moving around, but like you look at old Meshuggah videos, and it reminds me of like what people do, like what younger bands do today,
Sure.
where they're just like full back, just like extension, like
Slaughter to
head
prevail.
all the way to the ground, head all the way back up, like
Yeah.
and you can only keep that up for so long. When I see like dudes in Meshuggah or Cannibal Corpse and they're just sitting there in a power stance, menacingly staring you down and just absolutely crushing their instruments,
Playing the most powerful guitar you've ever heard.
It like carries almost more intimidation. Not to mention Meshuggah has like the most insane light show that I've ever seen.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
it's remarkable what they've done live. The only light show that I saw that would rival that was like when I saw Tycho, because they had like a giant 16:9 backdrop with all this film stuff happening. Maybe Godspeed You, Black Emperor, they have their own kind of niche, but it's not even really worth comparing a band like that to Meshuggah. But yeah, Meshuggah in the metal sphere, one of the best light shows in the game for sure.
That's kind of our goal. Like that's our inspiration. I like how they're like every breakdown, no matter how like weird and syncopated their like hit is, the guitar strum is or whatever, there's a light perfectly synced to it every single time. And it's so cool. And that's kind of what the model that we took after with our light show, which we recently painstakingly, I mean, I didn't do any of this work.
Who does all that for you guys?
Nick is like is probably the most tech savvy guy in the band. James did a lot of the light programming as well. They just kind of sat down and took to it, and they were just like, we're just gonna figure it out. And we got some lights, and we've got the one behind James that is kind of like overhead, like a bar. There's 2 bar lights underneath the drums on either side, and then there's a light underneath each of us in the front that illuminates us. And yeah, it took a while to try to.
You guys look
program
awesome,
all that.
man. No, it really adds. I mean, anything you can do to make your live show like more interesting, rather than having like the house lights that are just red or something like that, some monotone color.
Yeah. honestly, I mean, automating it is just like the most surefire way. I mean, it creates a lot more work for us in the setup and teardown, and we're like right at that brink where we need to start like getting crew people for us, which we don't want. We can't afford that. We don't want to have to pay anybody. The more stuff you add, the more technical difficulties there can be. So we've had some trouble with that, but when it works, it's so worth it. Like having lights synced to your music, like visually adds so much more, and makes you really stand out, and make you look a lot more professional.
Oh, like, it looks awesome, dude.
It's like kind of a dress for the job you want kind of situation.
Exactly. All right, man. So there's a lot going on in your music. There's crazy time signatures, weird triplets, a lot of different harmonic stuff going on. Like, talk us through the writing process. How do you guys make that kind of music?
For sure. Yeah, we definitely try to cram a lot into like every single song. Like, I start a lot of the songs, but as time has gone on, they've become more and more collaborative. Mm-hmm. Like I mentioned before, James and I, the drummer, started the band. Once we kind of started getting things going, we quickly happened upon these two awesome guitar players. Nick, one of the guitar players, he plays like every instrument. Every time I hang out with him, I learn about some other instrument that he knows how to play. I mean, it's kind of crazy.
Dude, he was talking to me last night about how he is like an orchestrator and an arranger. Yeah. So that's like
he has a master's degree in like music or music composition or something like that.
He's unbelievable. Keyboards, guitar, saxophone. That's what I know that he does. I'm assuming he probably plays some bass too in there, but what else does he do?
He has a fretless bass. I have the bass that we use on the record.
Nice. Dingwall?
No, I did use a Dingwall for our first single, Demonize. Mm-hmm. I was borrowing that from a friend.
Yeah, they're expensive, man.
Yeah. I really want one, but $3,000?
Yeah.
Have an instrument that I don't play that often? I don't know. It seems like a lot.
Yeah.
I have like a Kiesel bass, and it does all right.
Sick.
Like when we drop tune for our like drop E flat stuff, it really starts to get shaky, but like writing process wise, like we spend a lot of time kind of in like a studio setting, kind of usually in either like on our own individually, like trying to drum up ideas, or kind of in groups of 2, maybe 3. We don't do full band jams, like writing sessions, that much, just because like we're not closed off to that. Like any way a song can happen, it can happen.
Yeah.
But the primary way that we operate is usually trying to really like dive deep in like a DAW and constructing things kind of bit by bit. James, his approach is more like building a broader structure, and kind of like he's really good. He's like the glue that holds this band together, basically. Like he is really good at figuring out where things need to go and kind of helping us control the utter chaos that we create in the band. I'm really good with writing breakdowns and like making weird scratchy noises and just trying to find ways to make it weird and more angular. And like, why don't we do quintuplets and have this polyrhythm here? And you just kind of like, it sounds like super smart or whatever, but it's honestly very stupid. It's very like, just push buttons and try stuff. And like a lot of it's accidents. Like I'm like trying to copy and paste a riff part that I wrote, and I paste it to the wrong place. And then I'm like, I like it better there.
I like it over 1/8 note.
Well, we just try to approach it from as many different angles as we can to get as many different results as possible. We'll write a riff with MIDI sometimes, because like I want to find ways to make stuff that I couldn't just come up with on the spot. If I could come up with it on the spot, the chances are it's probably more generic, and I've probably written something very similar before. That can be good if you want to write something with a bit more like feel. I really like the stuff that pushes the boundaries of what my own abilities are, and then I just figured out how to do it later. You know?
That's awesome.
Like
man.
a Frankenstein riff. Like, you ever make those where it's just like, all right, we're gonna record this, and then you record another thing, and then you record another thing, and then you just kind of like piece it together, move things around, speed this up, slow that down, and like as long as I can eventually play it, or I guess I don't have to play it like Adam and Nick do, which is super fun for me. I get to torture them with some of the stupidest things. That's really fun. But yeah, so basically it starts all on guitar. We just experiment and try a bunch of different stuff and then try to control that chaos and make it a cohesive artistic idea. And then I write some lyrics, put some vocals on it, and then you have a song, more or less.
Very cool, man.
Very long-winded, but
no, that's interesting. I don't write music that way. Like, I usually like practice a lot of guitar, and then I will basically start creating riffs, but they're more, it's almost like a verse riff or an intro riff or like a chorus.
You think of the structure ahead of time?
Not always, but inevitably what happens is like I'll compose like one particular part, and then my brain will automatically think like, well, I know what to do next.
Yeah,
you know
we do
I mean?
some of that too.
Yeah.
Like, it's very like in the moment, what feels like needs to happen next.
Right.
Yeah.
But I'm also intrigued by like, who's the guy from Humanity's Last Breath?
Buster?
Buster. How he writes is really interesting. He
Very
doesn't even like
standpoint.
Yeah, he doesn't even like play the guitar much. He said that he like samples his entire guitar, all the notes that it can make, and then he
programs it like some dubstep like DJ or something.
That just blew my mind when he was talking about that. I think I saw that on Ola Englund's interview with him, and I was like, what? Like, that is just wild.
Well, and they have MIDI like automated pitch stuff, so you can't just like pick up a guitar, plug it into an amp, and just jam
Humanity's
Last Breath or Viljarta.
Yeah.
That Viljarta would probably be even harder, and that's like my favorite band ever. And Buster's like my favorite producer ever.
Oh yeah, the sounds that those guys get.
Like, I was inspired by them a lot with their way they pitch automate. We don't automate our pitch changes, but we
you step on pedals live.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we play and drop A flat on 7 strings, and then we have a setting to drop it 5 semitones. So that's E flat. And then also 12 semitones. So we're doing double drop A flat. And then the bass that we have backtracked just stays the same for that, because minus 12 semitones from there is just inaudible, like pointless. Like,
lowest I go on bass is F sharp. Like, which is what, 5 semitones below a B.
The lowest we go is E flat
on the bass guitar.
Yeah. So like double drop E flat, basically.
Yeah.
It's like a whole octave down from standard.
In Proselyte, I think we have it's drop E on bass. So it's like an octave below a normal bass.
It's hard to get it to sound good there.
I know.
It sucks.
Well, I don't even think we have a real bass guitar for that stuff.
No, the scale length on my bass
8 strings.
It's not long enough. Like, it's very, very clanky. Like, it's just slapping up against the frets like the whole time. But it's doing it so much that it almost kind of like sounds like distortion.
It sounds cool.
Yeah.
I bet. So you actually play like real bass when you track bass?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's sick.
Well, what's weird is for Parasocial Intoxication, the second song we put out, we did fake bass for that one. We did MIDI bass.
That's what we do in Proselyte. Well, that's what Carter does. I don't really write any of the music in that band. I'm just more or less a live guitar player, which I'm happy to be.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's what Carter does. We play in 8 strings with the bottom string just tuned down to E instead of F sharp. So, and you guys are 7 strings in
Drop
G sharp or A flat?
A flat.
Yeah. Very cool.
G sharp, A flat. I guess same thing.
Yeah. I'm familiar with that tuning. Yeah, it's a half step below if you drop tune to 7 string, basically.
Yeah. No, it's just the same tuning everybody plays in, but it's just like, why don't we just take it 1 half step down? Because just for the sake of being different.
Yeah.
It's a little lower, it's a little heavier, you know. I think if you go too low, like the reason I like pitch shifting so much is that like playing an 8-string is tough. It's like playing a tree trunk. And I'm so tempted to just hit that bottom note because it sounds so sick, right?
Yep.
But then all my riffs get kind of dumbed down. But if I play in a tuning that's a little bit higher, the harmonies that you can create can be a bit more complex when it's not as low. Because like if the notes aren't far enough apart from each other when they're that low down, it's gonna sound kind of bad.
Yeah.
So for me personally, I write cooler riffs in like the higher tunings.
Yeah.
In fact, originally when I was writing stuff for Dissonation before we were like officially a band, I was writing a lot of stuff on 6-string in like drop C, and then doing the same concept, like having pitch shifting down so that I could go to that low spot when I wanted to. Like I didn't deny myself access from that, but I could still write more like harmonically dense riffs because it's tuned higher.
Dude, I was noticing some of that last night, like when I was watching The Last 10 Seconds of Life, which I had never seen those guys before. Band literally scared the crap out of me.
Yeah,
man.
they're terrifying.
I was just like, it just super guttural lows. Like their bass player sounded like Fieldy of Korn.
Yeah, he had a very clanky bass.
Yeah, baritone guitar, and I was enjoying all of the riffs and the low tunings and the chuggage, but
it's very committed to that.
Yeah, but when the guitar player in one part of the song went up and played something high, I was like, yeah, that's the guitar. Like I can hear it now.
Yeah,
you know? I was like, this is actually pretty nice. Like,
well, the beatdown stuff is fun. Like one thing that sucks about being like a prog band is that it's kind of at odds with the part of us that's a deathcore band that wants people to mosh and just beat ass.
Yeah.
But people are too busy being like trying to analyze.
Yeah.
And you can't really do both. You can't go caveman mode and nerd mode at the same time.
Okay.
We're trying to do that. We're trying to see where we can meet that.
I think you do it well.
It's just harder. It's a little harder to get people to mosh to our stuff because of that. Because like it's in quintuplets or whatever. Or like
yeah, dude. I mean, I enjoyed your set last night.
Thank you, man.
There was a few people moshing as well, but I understand like the beauty of a simplistic caveman riff, you know, is something that's really fun and happens to be very in vogue right now too. Knock Loose, and I mean, Lorna Shore's got a lot of shreddy parts in their music.
They generally keep it 4/4 most of the time, so it's generally like telegraphed a little bit more.
Black metal shred, and then like insane breakdowns.
It's definitely technical though.
Yeah, certainly. Yeah. I've enjoyed. I used to go running to their last record that they put out. I listened to it several times.
Pain Remains.
The Pain Remains. Yeah. The symphonic stuff on that record is out of control. Let's talk a little bit about lyrics, man. So, the two songs that I really enjoyed listening to, at least from like a lyrical concept, was Scorn of the Sun, which has that cool saxophone solo at the end. If anybody wants to check that out, that's the name of that song, Scorn of the Sun. And then the music video that you guys did, Total Control Protocol, I really enjoyed the kind of juxtaposition of the lyrics and just some of the questions that you raise about like, are we just being born to die and to be controlled or something like that? Like, I think that was kind of the message that I read in it. But where does all that stuff come from, man? Like, what are you thinking about when you write stuff like that?
I'm just a nerd. And I'm a huge nerd. I think like the underneath the like scary exterior of any metalhead is just some dork, you know? Like any side hobby that if you talk to most metalheads, all their side hobbies are usually like video games or anime, or they like Magic the Gathering, or they're a big Lord of the Rings guy or something like that.
For sure.
Our drummer's an accountant. I mean, like
there you go.
We're all just a bunch of nerds. So for me, lyrically, it makes the most sense, like with kind of having more progressive music, having more like nerdy concepts where I just talk about different ideas of how I think humanity might face dystopia and ultimately end, or at least that was the concept for the first EP.
Yeah.
was just, what am I seeing in the world right now? And how can I extrapolate that out into some extreme situation that could potentially happen in the future? And Total Control Protocol, of course, it's like a country themed music video, which is obviously kind of a joke. But like at the end, I like take off the VR headset.
Yeah.
And I'm like, and it's like, it was virtual reality the whole time. And if you see at the beginning, like there's like a little glitch where
he plugs his guitar into a hay bale.
He plugs his guitar jack into a hay bale and it glitches like it's the Matrix. But basically that song's about people are so like far gone from living life in actual reality that they forfeit their lives in their physical bodies to upload their consciousness online, and they're being convinced by a gigantic tech corporation that is selling this idea of like, hey, like, what even is life? Like, what are we doing here? What's the point of all this? Like, we're just here to die.
Yeah.
Like, live forever in the metaverse. It's gonna be great, guys. Come on. And then of course it's not.
What if you're trapped and you're stuck there forever and it's like it's hell?
Yeah.
You're in freaking hell.
Well, yeah.
That's
I don't think we're meant to live forever. I think that's horrifying.
Yeah.
I don't want to live forever.
I mean, my belief system would say that you do live forever either way. Sense. You know, I'm a Christian, but I think
at least in this reality, in this world, we're not meant to be
because
here
it is painful, right? We're just working all the time. We're just always doing stuff, and the moments that I think are really pleasurable in life, unless you're part of like the billionaire elite, like they're few and far between, right? You know, going to a show, I think for a lot of the people that I saw last night, that might be their just like release for the week. That's it, you know. So yeah, I just think conceptually that's really cool that you're like writing songs about stuff like that. I guess like lately with metal, if I hear a song that is about some kind of relationship thing or some kind of like FU type song that's just like, oh, I hate you, dad, or I hate my ex-girlfriend was so bad to me, I'm gonna look at your grave, I'm gonna pee on your grave or whatever. that kind of lyrical content just is so boneheaded to me that I'm just like, bro, you're not utilizing the craft in a way that's bringing a lot of new interest. That's my take on it.
For me, when it's too vague and it's like, all right, you're clearly making this song just to like have the listener apply whoever that person is in their life to it.
There's so many songs like that. I'm just like, damn, dude.
It's just trying to be as generic as possible. Right. Kind of like how pop artists do. Like, like vague love interest song.
Like Taylor Swift's got a breakup song on every record. Right.
Yeah, but like that's the goal is is to like resonate with people. That was never my goal. It's just weird. Like I want to resonate with people. I want people to like it, of course, but
I resonate with those lyrics.
I want
Total Control Protocol.
For me, I'm here to satiate my own creative desires first.
Sure.
Because and I think the byproduct of that is that you resonate with more people.
You connect with people that think the same way as you or have had similar thoughts.
Well, also you just kind of like, nobody is better at being yourself than you. Right. So you take advantage of that. I could try to be, I don't know, Bad Omens. Like Bad Omens is a great band. Fantastic musicians. They make awesome stuff. If I tried to rip off Bad Omens, I would, in the best case scenario, be the second best band that sounds like Bad Omens.
Right.
And that it's more likely that I'm going to just drown in a sea of other bands that also are trying to sound like them. I think it's just doing things unapologetically like how you want to do them ultimately is like the best way to, because you can suck at being you and you're still better at it than anybody else.
I think that's an excellent take at creating art. I think that's probably it's the best way of doing it. I mean, you talk about visual art. I mean, once you see something that an artist has created and then you find that there's these knockoffs that are doing the same thing, it's like, come on, man. Creating something that's original. Like, and I think if Dissonation stays in the game for long enough, people are going to if they're not already taking notice now, they're only going to catch on to what you guys are doing and what you're building.
Yeah, I hope so. I mean, regardless of whether it like completely takes off or we just kind of keep on this sort of slow upward trajectory or whatever, or it just completely fades off. I mean, I feel like we're just still going to be doing it in some way, shape, or form. Or if Dissonation for some reason doesn't work out someday,
well, dude,
I'm still going to make stuff.
Yeah, you have to, man.
Maybe I'll start like a beatdown band.
What else is there, dude? Yeah, I mean, Lorna Shore was a band for like over 10 years before they started getting like more notoriety. Meshuggah was around for like 20 years. Yeah. I think until Catch 33 came out, I think they were a relatively unknown band. Yeah. That's
they were like
my take on that, but
they were like Lorna, like a C. Like, I love Lorna. Like, I'm not like saying that their music was bad. I'm saying just that popularity wise, they were like a C tier band, like a C list.
Yeah. Wow.
Like deathcore band. They were hopping on other bands' tours. They're like, oh, cool. They're on tour with Carnifex or whoever.
Right.
I loved their music. I've been listening to Lorna for a long time, but seeing them blow up like 10 years after they start is like really incredible and really inspiring because they did not compromise on their sound at all. They're just as heavy and crazy as ever before, if not more. That blew them up.
Just stayed with it. They just kept doing it, man. Yeah. I think that's the secret to anything in the music industry is just, you just got to keep making music or keep playing guitar if you want to play for artists or whatever. Just keep, going out there and playing well as much as you can.
Yeah.
Well, cool, dude. I wanted to ask you about that music video, man. If anybody out there hasn't seen it yet, it's a music video for Total Control Protocol, and it's basically like a Cowboy video. Yep. So what inspired you guys to kind of take that angle at that?
So I like funny music videos, personally.
Yeah.
I'm not against serious ones. But like going to an abandoned whatever, while that can be very cool if it's shot well, I don't know. I wanted there to be an extra layer of entertainment. The only trouble was I was like, how do I make this make sense with this song? Or is it just not going to? And for the most part, it doesn't. But we did throw in the little VR thing and like, oh, it was a simulation the whole time.
I love that at the end. But that took me by surprise how it ends. But
yeah, since we're a Nashville band, I thought it was funny that we would try to trick people into thinking they're about to see something totally different. And then it's just like, you see like acoustic guitars and
dude, I loved it.
Cowboy get-ups, and then it's just like one of our heavier songs. I mean, I don't know if it's like one of our heavier songs. All of our songs are probably just about as heavy as the other ones, honestly.
Yeah, dude. So that song and that video features Sammy Slam Dance. Yeah. He's the guy in the American flag attire. So tell me about who Sammy Slam Dance is. I'm kind of acquaintances with him through just knowing some of the same people in the scene, but I don't think I've ever met him. But how did you get involved working with him?
So Adam, our guitar player, used to play. They're kind of like, they're just not actively playing shows. They're technically still a band.
Abyss Walker?
Abyss Walker.
That's right.
Yeah. So Adam played in Abyss Walker and technically still is in Abyss Walker. Sometimes collaborates with him on his YouTube channel where he does a myriad of like covers and stuff and like goofy stuff. And he was just the perfect man for the job. I mean, his vocals are sick for one, but also we knew that he would be able to get up there on the back of that semi truck, which was our drummer's dad's semi truck.
Oh, that thing is sick, man.
He drove it down for us, so we didn't have to pay for that, which is great.
With the flatbed, man, I was like, whose truck is that? Dude?
Yeah, he took a route down from Fargo, and it's like, all right, like
what?
Well, then we got to. So the trip was at least worth his while because Fargo's forever from here.
That's like a million years into the future, dude.
But he just like took a route, and then we like hopped on the back of his that semi truck and filmed the video on this like horse farm, which Iron Horse Farms, they were nice enough to let us do it for free over there down in like Columbia.
That's great.
And oh yeah, his name is Mike Hunt.
The owner of the farm?
No. Our drummer's dad, his name is Mike Hunt.
That's an unfortunate name.
Yeah. He's been bullied for it his whole life.
No way, dude. That sucks.
But he's kind of embracing it now, and we made buttons of that.
I saw those, man. Yeah, get a Mike Hunt button.
Yeah.
That's freaking awesome, dude.
That's actually funny story. And weird segue. That's how we got the offer to play Louder Than Life, more or less.
No way.
Is because
the music
of
video?
our drummer's dad's name.
What?
More or
Okay,
less.
tell us
Okay.
about that. That's wild.
It's kind of an exaggeration, but that played a big part. So James, our drummer, just like networks like crazy, and he's so good at that. And he's just good at just being around and present, happening upon people. Because like you can't go up and like be like, hey, can I have this opportunity, and be all weird like that. You just kind of show up to stuff and chill and introduce yourself. And he just does a bunch of that, and it works out for him a lot. The people that run Louder Than Life, I mean, it's just this, if you don't know what that is, it's this awesome festival. We got to play it. Pantera played the same day as us. Avenged Sevenfold was a headliner. I mean, bands that I've looked up to since I was a kid. I was like shaking. It was so cool. Like, we saw Phil Anselmo backstage, like get out of his car,
walking around barefoot.
Oh my God.
It's Phil.
Yeah. And so basically the people that run this festival have this Twitch channel called that Space Zebra Show. They host contests and bands, like they're really, really cool to like underground artists. And he had entered in a couple contests before, so they knew his name, and they found out somehow, like through conversation, that his dad's name was Mike Hunt, and they thought that was hilarious. So they remembered him for that. Like, long story short, or long story long, more like, we premiered one of our songs live on their stream. That was our second song, Parasocial Intoxication, and during that live stream, they offered us the gig.
Oh man.
We were already entering in the contest to play one of the smaller stages, like where the unsigned artists play, but they just gave us the Disruptor stage. They're like, yeah.
I saw photos from that. I was like, this is insane. That's a huge stage.
Several thousand people there. I don't know how many exactly, but none of us have ever played anything that large. When we got booked for it, we had 2 songs out.
Oh,
we
wow.
had never played a show yet as a band. So that whole year we needed to write music so that we could play this show.
So you could do a full set.
Yeah, so that we could all play the biggest show that any of us had ever played.
Man, sometimes that's how you just get in gear and get your stuff together, is you have like a reason to do it. Like, I've been in bands where you just practice for like literally 3 years
and don't do shit,
and finally get a show or something, and it's which is fine too, if you want to like really hone in your sound. But with Proselyte, that's kind of been how we've gotten opportunities, is like we just like, hey, can we play this show? And then we didn't even have a full lineup yet. So then Carter's messaging me, hey man, can you play guitar in my band? I'm like, sure, dude. Like, well,
sometimes those like deadlines like create urgency in doing
exactly.
things.
Sometimes
if there's always tomorrow, then why not the next day, and why not the next day?
Exactly. Sometimes it's good to just get your stuff together rapidly. Well, did you guys see like a mad uptick in like followers and stuff like that after that festival?
Yeah. Honestly, right after we did that live stream, Hardcore Keem reacted to our song. Like, do you know who that guy is?
I probably should.
He's
know
like
who
a reaction. His whole thing is he does reactions to metal songs submitted to him, and he'll like mosh in his room and like crowd kill his gaming chair, and then he's got like a dummy behind him too that he sometimes beats
punches
up
on.
And it's just so funny, and he's such a cool guy. And we currently have the most viewed like Hardcore Keem video on Instagram Reels. Like,
oh my God.
I'm pretty sure, unless somebody else has dethroned it, but it got like over 1 million views.
Wow.
And similarly, Orion Reacts, just another guy, does basically the same thing, did a reaction and got 1 million views on TikTok. Same song, separately. So we had this song just kind of like blowing up in these different like channels in different places. And then we had Louder Than Life coming up too. And so just a lot of things were like rising up for us like way quicker than we had ever thought it would.
That's so exciting though, man. That's fun.
Yeah. Currently our most viewed thing is a Taylor Swift meme that we made.
And what
have you
is
seen it?
I feel like No, I don't think I've seen
No.
it. What is it?
So it's just that song, Parasocial Intoxication. I edited it on my phone during like a lunch break at work in like 10 minutes. Just footage of Taylor Swift performing, but I overlaid our song and
Nice.
edited it so that it syncs up. And then the caption was, if Taylor Swift's music was actually good, which is not something that I meant, obviously. Why would a deathcore band, like weird, like niche metal band, be compared to Taylor Swift? That makes zero sense.
Yeah, it's apples
Taylor
to
Swift
oranges.
is in her own sphere. She's a mega billionaire star that sells out stadiums. We're just some weird prog project, but a lot of the Swifties took it to heart, let's just say, and now that has like 6 million views on it.
Oh my god. Like they got pissed.
Yeah, they got so pissed. And the thing is,
You don't understand, Taylor.
Yeah, well, they got pissed, and then the all the people that hate Taylor Swift got pissed at them. I don't hate Taylor Swift at all. I think it's pop music. Like, I don't listen to it. It's not for me.
Now she is controlling the populace, Taylor. You got to understand that, man. She's running the show, bro.
A lot of the hate for her was just as insane as the love for her, to be honest. And seeing those two just meet in the comments section, it like stopped being about the video and just more about the
ideology of Taylor
hundreds
Swift.
and hundreds of comments just of people arguing with each other.
That
in
is
the comments.
wild.
It was so funny.
Well, this is progressive gentcore metal. You don't get it. like.
Well, it's like the thing is most people were not talking about the song. If you have 6 million views on something, enough people, like, it boosted our Spotify listens like quite a lot, and like it got our followers up by like several thousand too. Just in the span of like a month or two.
Gosh, man. So social media is such a powerful tool. And,
yeah,
I was like watching an interview with the guitar player Greg Howe. He was Michael Jackson's guitar player way back in the day, but he's like a shred fusion god on the guitar. He's like been one of my favorites for decades. But he was doing an interview, and the guy interviewing him was like, what advice do you have for guitar players today that are trying to like make it and make a name for themselves? And usually when that question is answered by a famous guitar player, even somebody like Steve Vai, the advice they give is so impractical and like doesn't apply to like the year 2024 or like any kid that just has a dream and is growing up in today's times. But Greg Howe actually freaking delivered like the message, man. And he was just like, you got to just get into short form content. You got to post every day. You got to practice your ass off, and every couple days post the best playing that you can offer the world. And I was like, yeah, dude, finally someone actually gives a practice, like a really practical piece of advice for someone who wants to get into the music industry or to make a name for themselves. And I mean, all you were doing was just putting yourself out there in an honest way and having some fun with it. And it went to the moon, man. And
we just like to
awesome.
have fun. I think that's the thing is.
I think I definitely take my music way too seriously sometimes, and like I definitely like get into this like mindset of I tend to not really enjoy or even really get the humor in, like the guy that does like gent riffs to like the lady freaking out on the airplane or something, or
There's
just
a couple of those.
Some Karen in a parking lot, and he's genting like the words that she says, and that is funny.
Yeah.
But like I like, to me, it's just like, man, like, come on, dude, like
Make a song.
Yeah, play something cool. But that dude has insane followers. I'm talking about Abiotic John, who's a fantastic guitar player in his own right. But I often wonder, like, well, would anybody know who that guy is if he wasn't making these hilarious videos?
Well, I think it's about a balance, though. Like, so we have a conversation I often have with James, because James and I do a lot of the social media stuff. Most of the content we make is like we ping stuff back and forth and kind of take turns making content, because it is grueling. Like,
oh, dude,
I totally empathize with the musician that just wants to make music and doesn't want to mess with social media. Yes. But we also live in the year 2024, and being a musician means being a content creator. That's just, I mean,
I'm definitely on board with that. I mean, I think you can go the other direction and just only do content creation or go, because I've seen so many guitar YouTube channels where it's like, bro, you don't really play guitar anymore. You know, like from my perspective as a guitar player, maybe I'm being too judgmental. I don't know. Let me know in the comments. But I just think you're right. It is a balance. Like
you can do some of that fun stuff, but you gotta balance it out with like, okay, here's my band, and here's my, like, this is a real song that I created. And a lot of, like, I think creators get stuck in this rut where the algorithms feed them this positive feedback for when they do covers, for when they do goofy memes, like stuff that isn't, like, I don't want to say it's not artistic, but you know what I'm trying to say, like it's not as genuine of an expression because it's just something to, like, try to grab views. And we have content, like, that is purely there just for view grabbing. And that's what that Taylor Swift meme was.
You're casting a net. You know, you're trying to pull people into, like, oh, come over here where we're talking about, you know, being controlled by the AI. You know,
right. Well, there was no creative integrity that went into our Taylor Swift meme. You know, it was just a goofy thing.
It's just fun.
Like, let's just see how many views we can get on this stupid meme with our song on it.
Yeah.
And it worked out. But that wasn't about us. That wasn't about what we're actually trying to accomplish. The goal with that was just, hey, hopefully some people will, like, see this goofy meme and then feel like clicking our Spotify link and just checking it out. And
I think it's awesome. It seems to be effective.
Then you could, right. I mean, it does kind of work, but you can't only do that because then you're going to be just kind of this fake, empty kind of shell. And it's not going to feel, at a certain point, it won't feel gratifying. You have to make real stuff too. I think you have to make genuine expressions of your art as well. I mean, humor is a genuine expression of art in and of itself in kind of a way, but I think a lot of people get stuck in those algorithms where, like, the algorithm tells them that people like that, but then they feel kind of empty because they're not making something that is it's not as valuable to them, but they feel obligated to keep making that because that has become their brand or whatever. But honestly, most of the time when I see those guys make real music, people love it.
Yeah. Like
Nick Nocturnal has, like, a couple projects and they're great. K-Mac 2021, you know that guy? You ever seen him? He's like the Scottish guy that did, like,
the curly haired dude? No, I might be thinking of somebody else.
He's just kind of like, he does gent memes more or less.
K-Mac. Yeah. How could I not know about him? Yeah. He's
so funny.
Super funny, man.
But his music is so good, though. Yeah. That's the thing. If you go to this guy's Spotify and check out his songs, they are awesome.
They rip. Yeah. Well, sick.
Yeah.
That's amazing. All right, Taylor. So what I wanted to do now is talk about the Nashville metal scene. I have been a part of it since 2012. It's been a while. So I was there right when around the time the new Rocketown opened. And so a lot of shows went on there, not only in, like, the big room, or they had this is like right when they bought the white building at Rocketown. And anybody in Nashville knows what I'm talking about. The medium-sized shows were at the white building, and then the huge shows were at the main room in the big building, and then they had a little small building that they would do, like, punk shows at. So that was kind of like a central hub for shows, and then Rocketown kind of stopped wanting to have, like, metal bands that use swear words in their music and stuff. That kind of became
They didn't serve alcohol, did they?
I don't believe that they did.
Yeah.
I think if they ever did at an event, they'd hire in another company to come in, because Rocketown is a Christian organization. I think Michael W. Smith was involved in it, or he's probably still on the board, but there was this whole, like, falling out thing that happened at Rocketown with some of the people that worked there. Their political beliefs were contrary to that of Rocketown, so they were let go from their job, and it was this whole thing. So then a lot of shows started happening at places like The End, Exit In. Obviously, it's always been there, a staple in Nashville. East Room, The Cobra. Cafe Coco was a huge place for shows for such a long time. Did you ever go to a show at Cafe Coco?
Nope.
That was like a thing. So
I did catch Rocketown before the end of that.
Oh, okay. Yeah, Rocketown.
I don't know which one it was. I mean, it was like this kind of separate building. It was white.
The white building, yeah.
Was that it?
Yeah,
Okay.
that's where a lot of, so they could kind of, like, okay, you guys want to do your metal thing, we'll put you over there in the white building.
It's kind of lame, like, no swearing. It's a little bit puritanical.
Yeah, dude, when I was in like doing the Christian metal thing, back in like 2011, 2012, like when I first started being in touring bands, there were some like church type venues that made you sign like a contract that was like, you cannot swear, because like metal bands, they want get the F up. You're like,
what would, so what would happen if they break that contract?
They would just say you can't play here again, basically.
Would they like not pay them?
They might have even had that in the contract. I remember funny. Whitechapel and maybe even Suicide Silence. There were these huge beefs with certain venues in the Midwest.
You booked a band called Suicide Silence.
Yeah,
Are exactly. You kidding me?
Yep.
Whitechapel. I mean, I guess it's a little more indirect, but that's about Jack the Ripper.
As a Christian person today. I look at it as, there's kids out there that are going to go see these bands anyway, and they're going to seek that stuff out. You have the opportunity to host a band like that. How about you just be a warm, welcoming person that is available to the kids and the bands, and you treat the bands better than anybody else has? Because touring at this level with this style of music, you're treated like a freaking dog a lot of the time, a lot of the places that you go. Not always, but... back in the day, man, I mean, we were just lucky to sleep at somebody's house. But anyway, that's kind of a short and sweet of the Nashville scene. Of course, you can't forget about that 70s house. A lot of shows. Yeah, that was so fun. And I'm Zan, if you're watching this, we got to get you on this to talk about that. Zan was one of the guys that
I know him. I was just hanging out with him briefly at
the Dying Fetus show.
Was he?
He was definitely at that show.
Yeah, I can't remember if it was that show I was hanging out with him at, but it might have been that one.
Yeah, I've known Zan for since like 2012 or 2013. He was like a Belmont student, and he played in my post-rock band way back in the day. I was like, I need.
Oh yeah, that was us. We were hanging, but you and I were hanging out with Zan.
Yeah,
I was just like
at the bowling alley.
There were so many shows in May. I'm just kind of getting them all like mixed up together. Yeah.
There's like. I have another video on my YouTube channel where we talk about all the different shows that have been coming to town. It's a lot of metal has come through.
Quite a lot.
We got more coming. So all that to say, what are some positive? Let's just scratch the surface. What are some positive aspects that you've seen in the Nashville metal scene, and what are some negative things that you've picked up on?
Starting with the positive, the best thing about Nashville overall is the abundance of resources for musicians. The abundance of musicians themselves, and the quality of musicians that you find. You cannot sneeze without one of your boogers landing on a pretty good guitarist, It's like they're everywhere. There's studios everywhere. I mean, when I first moved here, anytime I told, like half the time when I told somebody I was a musician, they're like, oh, dude, I'm a producer, like I'm looking for people to record, like come over to my place and I'll show you my studio. I just love that this place is so music focused, and that's amazing. The tough thing about that is it's competitive. There's a lot of bands.
There's too much music, man.
There's so much music.
It's like, hey, come to my show, and if you've played like more than twice in a month, it's like, dude, don't expect anybody to come
show up. Yeah.
You've already played twice, bro.
When you when you go out and play smaller towns, like when we went and played Birmingham's not that small of it. It's like a medium-sized city.
It's pretty good scene down there too.
It is a decent scene, but they're far more deprived of music than we are here. We're spoiled.
People get stoked, right? Well, that's one of the things I've noticed. Like, dude, look at the Pit when like Kubla Khan came to town and when Knocked Loose came to town, and then compare it to the other shows on the tour.
Yes, dude.
There's no comparison. Nashville is like a sleep.
Yeah.
We're just like, oh man, I got work in the morning. But there's people losing their freaking mind.
I would have mixed this differently.
Yeah, it's a lot of arms crossed, like hipsters, or I don't know what it is, man. But
everybody knows what's going on already. They know how the show works. They know that's like the mystique is gone for a lot of people because they're involved with it. But that makes it cool too. Like the reason I live here is for that. Is I want to be around I want to improve my game. I want to be around people that are in the game. Growing up in Raleigh, it was really difficult to find people that wanted to play this really niche music.
Yeah. For sure.
That has such specific requirements for it in terms of gear, in terms of playing style, in terms of like a lot of stuff. Coming here, it was easier to find that, even though it's still even for, it's like, I mean, Nashville's mostly country and whatever. A lot of these country guys are hardcore dudes, you know? Like, like they grew up playing metalcore or hardcore or whatever.
But they're trying to make a living
But
playing
they're trying
country.
to make a living, so they're on Broadway.
Yeah.
You know, playing country covers.
Yeah, I guess I never thought of like what you said, like where it's like, oh, I guess everyone in the crowd is already playing music and this is their special night to go see Knocked Loose, kick some ass, and they don't want to get their teeth knocked out while they're there, you know?
Well, when I started doing Dissonation, my pit involvement went down because I have to protect my instrument, which is my body, essentially.
Yeah.
You know, if I mess up, if I got a tooth knocked out, it might change the way my vocals sound. Who knows? Like,
oh, bro, yeah, I'm getting old. I'm having weird body problems. I got a wrist problem right now, and it's just like I'm in retirement, y'all. Like, I'm not gonna get in the pit and swing.
Yeah.
If I did, it would be because I'm ready to die, you know, like, or something like that. And then
I kind of get in and out.
Then you'd see some Braveheart scenes in there. But no, man, I was appalled actually when Knocked Loose played because like no one was getting into it. And then there was like a fight that broke out, like some.
I mean,
people got butthurt.
It's still a Knocked Loose show. Let's be real. It still
went off.
It was still like,
but they're not.
The pit was still crazy.
Yeah.
It was still Knocked Loose. Every time I see them, it's crazy. No matter what. I saw them play at Grimey's.
I did too. I was at the
You
show,
were at that?
dude. Yeah, I was
dude,
there.
That was crazy.
That was wild. Yeah, somebody was like trying to like pit a little bit in between like the stacks of records.
There was kind of a pit, and there was
like,
people stage diving and stuff.
Yeah, they were like just popping off around that time.
You can't not mosh to Knocked Loose. It's gonna happen. Comparing the crowd from Nashville to a lot of these other places, I mean, these other places, people are like have pent up energy that they are ready to just explode and just kick somebody.
I saw a Kubla Khan video recently where there's literally 3 pits going on at the same time, and they're like coalescing into each other like a spiral galaxy. I was like, what?
It's just harder to impress people here.
Yeah,
I think that makes people better though. That makes people like more on their game.
Yeah.
There's a little bit of an oversaturation, and it's so hard. Even if you have clout, like, it's hard to book a show.
Yeah. Just
to pierce through the thousands of emails that these venues get about show inquiries.
Well, think about like there's professional musicians of all types that want to play at, for example, even a place like Dark Matter. Then you got like high school kids that just want to do their first show, like, oh, I want to do my songwriter showcase at Dark Matter. You know, like it's everyone on the planet around there, like, that wants to get in and do a show. So yeah, I can only imagine.
I mean, we have tons of like venues, but like most of them are like for country cover bands, and like the rest are. I mean, if you eliminated those venues, the small to medium sized venues that like a local band that's in an alternative scene would be able to play, it's no more plentiful than any other small town in like the South, honestly.
Yeah.
Like, I had a way easier time finding spots to play in North Carolina where there's not nearly as thriving of a music scene as Nashville.
Mm-hmm.
Just because I guess there was less competition, but also just because it was just the venues are easier to get in touch with. Like, you could just hit them up and they respond. Yeah.
No, it's amazing. Like, yeah, there's just so much music here, and there's people moving here every day, you know, and there always will be.
We just need more small venues. We need more small to medium-sized venues, more places like The End, more places like Eastside Bowl has been really cool.
Eastside Bowl rules,
I love that spot.
That Dying Fetus show was unreal.
Our first show was at Eastside Bowl.
Ugh. The stage is big. It reminds me of like a stage I went to in like my hometown when I was a kid, because it's like higher up, and there's a ring around the top where you can go up there, and there's a balcony. You can go and stand up there and watch everything. And
there's plenty of places to chill. Like, if you need
Eastside Bowl might be my favorite.
I think it's my favorite. Like, The End for me is always going to be king, just because there's such a staple spot, even though the stage is far too small.
The backline 4 bands,
and it's, you know, it's a grody like DIY you. I mean, that's just what it is. It's a hole in the wall.
It's a hepatitis breeding ground.
Yeah, it is 100%.
Potentially.
But it's just got so much character in it, and it astounds me how often they have these big touring acts come through and just pack the room. Like,
it's super fun, man. It's fun to see a packed out show there.
It is.
Well, let's start wrapping this up, man. So tell us what's going on with Dissonation in the coming months. Do we got an EP, an LP coming out soon? Are there upcoming shows, tours? What are you guys getting into in the next few months?
So we just kind of have our ears open for opportunities. Tour might be a while off for us, but if we got a good enough opportunity, we might be able to whip it together and figure it out. We've done it before. Not tour, but we've
made it work.
We've made it work before in all kinds of situations. So we're kind of in the preliminary stages of writing for whatever our next thing is. We're probably not going to do an album because I feel like you just end up wasting a lot of songs that way.
Waterfall
with our music.
Release, bro. Do you know about that?
Yeah, of course. Just singles, and then until you have like the whole EP, basically the whole EP already released, and then you put it out.
Yeah, that's one way of doing it. I kind of like the idea of doing like I
love albums,
1 to 5 songs and then the album. I think that's kind of if you have 5 strong songs on an album that you're super excited about.
We like to go hard on like a couple of songs more than like write a bunch. Like, we write so slow, it's hard for us to write that much music.
Your music is dense, man. You got a lot going on.
Very ADHD.
It's it's fun to listen to, man.
Well, thank
you. Yeah, so if you guys are in Nashville, come and see Dissonation the next time they play. Where can people follow you?
At Dissonation TN. That's our tag on all the platforms. We're on all the social medias and all of the streaming platforms. My handle is at taylor.pace.music on Instagram. That's mostly where I hang out. Yeah, I've been starting to kind of break into vocal lessons a little bit. I've given a couple people free vocal lessons just to try it out. So pretty soon I'm going to be starting, man. Pretty soon I'm going to be breaking into that space, trying to help people get started. I appreciate you having me on here, man.
Of course, man.
It's been great.
It's a pleasure, and I'm hoping to do more of this, guys. So if you enjoyed this video, drop a comment. Please like the video, subscribe to the channel. This is the most fun content for me to make. Making those pedal demos, guys, that like 400 people watch, that stuff is painstaking. And if I could live in a world where I don't have to do that anymore, and hey, I'm still making pedal demos. There's more coming out, but this is what I enjoy more. So hopefully this pops off. But if it doesn't, hey, we'll still hang and talk.
Yeah, it's still fun.
So if you want to support Dissonation, probably the best thing to do is get yourself a Mike Hunt pin or a sick Dissonation shirt. This is a front and back print. I can't really show you the back right now, but get one of these shirts. They've got a couple designs. Yeah, follow those guys. I've been Drew Creal. This is Taylor Pace. Thanks for hanging out with us. Have a wonderful day on planet Earth, wherever you're at. Peace.